Well, what we're going to do is engage in the OECD process very intensely across the coming weeks and months, and I do hope an agreement can be reached that does recognise the role of legitimate tax competition for smaller and medium-sized economies. So I'll be making the case for that. I do believe an agreement will be reached, and I believe an agreement is needed.
So, in other words, there could be a compromise that the minimum tax proposed could be reduced, or what could be the compromise?
So we've had some really important developments, for example, with the communique from the G7 finance ministers. But even at this point, the shape of the agreement within the OECD, while it's broadly clear in terms of different pillars and different areas of tax being included within it, we still do have some time to go before a final agreement is reached. So it's difficult for me to say what that compromise could yet look like, but I do believe it is in the interests of everybody to find a compromise. And while we'll be making the case for our rate, we also do want to see a broad agreement.
Let's talk about what's going to happen today here. On top of the agenda are, of course, also these next generation EU bonds and the deployment of the funds. So are you happy with the size of the rescue package?
Absolutely. I believe the speed and scale of the response from the European Union to the economic effects of this terrible disease have been really, really significant and really, really big. The recovery plans are now coming at exactly the time Member States need them. We are now looking to how we can drive growth in 2022 and in 2023, and the plans and money are now becoming available at exactly the time our people need them.
Would you say that this crisis has shifted the role of the state into a much more prominent role, because we are once again talking about state intervention, state support for the economies?
I think it's done two things, Annette. I think it's reminded us of the power of the state, and yes, it has also given more prominence and more power to the state in particular areas, particularly with regard to health policy. I think if we had 18 months ago been doing this interview and you had suggested to me that governments would tell people not to leave their home and people all over the world will stay at home, or governments would tell people to close down your business and employers all over the world will close down your business, it would have looked nearly impossible. But it's happened all over the world. And then to your point, in many, many areas, I think we are seeing the need for the state to have the ability to use more power and intervention if it's needed.
But would it also mean that, because I mean Ireland is just a big example, or a very good example for letting the markets also decide a lot and allocate funds and resources. Would you say this is going away a little bit towards more state ownership?
Well, I'd make the case for Ireland actually being an example of a very strong mixed economy. So we have a very small economy, but within that small economy, our state, in terms of its powers, in terms of its share of national income, isn't very, very different from comparable states across Europe. And we're going to have to get the balance right. Yes, the market economy generates income, generates employment, but it can only do that in a sustainable way if accompanied by a strong state that can regulate and invest.
Let me bring you back to the bonds, which are going to cap the markets. So the markets are currently, I think, pondering whether interest rates are going to rise. Is that a concern for your program going forward for the NGEU bonds?
The European Central Bank have issued very clear guidance in relation to their views in the markets, in relation to their view of inflation across the coming period. I believe the change in inflation that we're seeing at the moment is temporary. I believe within the euro area we are going to return to our expected rates of inflation that will still be below the inflation guidance the ECB offers. So I do expect to see a phase of inflation, but in the aftermath of that I believe we'll be coming back to where we were pre-pandemic, and I actually believe any changes that happen in bond yields are ones that, if they do happen, will be affordable and manageable by many member state governments.